Hi, Alan Shimel, DevOps.com here at the DevOps Enterprise Summit 2016. And we have Jon Topper from the Scale Factory here with us. John, our audience may not know who the Scale Factory is. Why don't you start with that?
Yep. So we are a London-based, a small but growing consultancy. We specialize in infrastructure design, build, operation. We've been around for somewhere like 7.5 years, and we've been doing DevOps for, I guess, about as long as that, although we weren't calling it that
No,
back
this
then.
was DevOps before it was
Absolutely,
DevOps.
yeah.
And John, I would imagine a DevOps consultant is good business right now.
It's not too bad. Actually, our ability to deliver is constrained currently by the number of people we can hire, not the amount of work we can bring in. So,
And that's a common theme we hear,
Yeah.
right? Finding skilled, well, even experienced DevOps
Yep.
people is a tough bet. Let's talk a little bit about what does your usual sort of engagement look like?
Sure. So we have a common platform design that we call ReadyScale, which is a collection of good practice around DevOps and the automation tooling and patterns for putting those together. So it's a foundation infrastructure that we can deliver onto. AWS, as one example, we also support bare metal and vSphere, and we're looking into supporting Azure and the other options as well. And really, our pitch is that we can, for organizations who are just getting going on this stuff and or their public cloud strategy, or for startups who've sort of maybe migrating from Heroku and those sorts of PaaS platforms where they want a bit more control over what they're able to do, we can land that foundation build in a very short amount of time. That build provides to them CI and CD pipelines. We provide log aggregation, monitoring, alerting, all of that kind of good DevOps practice that we've all been talking about for years, but as a good starting point. And then we work with those customers to integrate their application on top of that infrastructure, wire it up to logging, wire it up to monitoring, and upskill the development teams in the day-to-day operations of the platform.
Fantastic. Now, John, what size your usual engagement? Is it a large enterprise, mid-size?
It's a bit of a variety, actually. The majority of our customers by number of organizations are that sort of post-A-round startup kind of size. So they've proven that they've got something that works. An investor has punted on them in terms of finance, and they know now that they need to operate properly. And they also are smart enough to appreciate that the way they operate their platform isn't their differentiator. They want to spend their engineering hours on what differentiates them, what their application does in terms of features and what have you, and so we come in and provide that baseline for them. So there's a company here in the UK called Songkick, who you may know of in the US as well.
Sure.
They did Adele's ticketing for her tour at the end of last year.
Actually, they presented. I think
That's right. Yeah, Amy Phillips was talking about that.
Yes.
Yeah. So you may have interviewed Amy. So we built Songkick's original infrastructure
Really?
7.5 years ago, and we've had an ongoing relationship with them in terms of support and occasional cover for when they've been between systems administrators, and we're working with them again now on a new platform build. So that sort of ongoing relationship is the type of thing we like. It's a nice way to deal with an organization, I think.
You know, John, one of the interesting things that I've seen come out at this show, and I've spoken, and recently, maybe not just at DevOps Enterprise Summit, but engaging with people recently, is that it used to be the idea of if DevOps is going to succeed, it has to be internally organic. The idea of outsourcing was sort of anti-DevOps. It was an anti-pattern, if you will, to DevOps.
Yep.
And but yet that's not the case. Time and time again, we're seeing consultants, we're seeing companies like the Scale Factory come in as a third party,
Yep.
and not only not destroying DevOps, but helping
Yes.
the DevOps adoption
Yeah,
curve.
I mean, I've been in the DevOps community as a sort of DevOps Days attendee and sort of meetup groups and that sort of thing for as long as they've been running, really. And it's a philosophy that I think tried to. I've struggled a little bit with that sort of idea that we are essentially sort of showing up and saying here's a thing. And I think the fact that I've had to spend time mulling that over is what's led to the type of engagement that we have, which is the idea that we're aiming for self-sufficiency. We are as an organisation of our size, it doesn't make sense for us for every delivery that we put in place to have to skill up another 2 members of full-time staff to support it.
Right.
So the idea that we can hand over the majority of the operations is beneficial as far as that's concerned. It means that the customer themselves don't ever have to have sort of people who know how to tune kernels or do all that kind of really hardcore stuff. But when they need that sort of scalability expertise, they can call on us to come and do that for them.
Excellent.
And usually their team will learn some stuff along the way as well. We're not sort of, here's the thing, it's done, let's get out of here. One thing that I'm seeing today, actually, the last couple of days with the talks that are going on, there are people like ITV, who are also customers of ours, and Hiscox, who are talking about building teams where they have a group of the sort of DevOps specialists. I know the idea of a DevOps team doesn't get a lot of love at times, but I think the idea of a group of people who are themselves seconded into cross-functional delivery teams, that seems to be a pattern that's working. And the idea of having a common platform that you can deliver multiple different applications onto is a thing that's working in those organizations. And that's kind of how we operate. We have a common design. The architecture is the same baseline for all of our customers, and we sort of imprint versions of that as we go, and provide updates to the tooling that we add as we support them, and that kind of works. And I think that there's a lot that larger organizations can probably learn from those of us who have been doing this for quite a long time.
It certainly sounds like it. John, this was very interesting. I know you got to get back down.
Yep.
We grabbed you out of your lunch, but I want to thank you for sharing with our audience.
Yeah,
We'd love to hear more about this on DevOps.com.
Sure.
Thank you, by the way, for sponsoring the DevOps Enterprise Summit. It's much appreciated.
Yeah.
Good luck. Continued success with the Scale Factory. Jon Topper, the Scale Factory. This is Alan Shimel for DevOps.com.